Hi everyone, Alaska here and I'm back. I wanted to do a different type of video than I usually do, which are the light language videos. I have had quite the morning, lots of synchronicities concerning people in my circle, people I am tied to in the spiritual world. And I wanted to bring it across, share some things from my past growing up, even from when I was a little baby. I'm not really sure why I'm being allowed to do this, but I think some will be able to connect, will be able to realize things, remember things, possibly from their past as well, or synchronicities that connect me and you. Where do I want to begin? The first thing that I want to go into is when I was small. I was probably maybe a little over 3. The first memory I actually have is of me running from our house, which we had a little tiny blue house in the back, and then my grandma lived in front of us, and there was a path connecting the two houses together, and they weren't too close to each other, but they weren't too far either. They were kind of perfect distance. But I remember the first memory I ever have of living. I was probably about 3. And it was early morning, the sun was barely up, and I can remember running from our house to my grandma's house, and the dew on my feet, and getting my feet wet as I'm running. And I'm so excited because I know I'm going to crawl in bed with my grandma, and I don't really know how I got out of the house. All I remember is the running part. I'm sure my mom woke up just frantic that I wasn't there, but that is my first memory. This house that we lived in behind my grandma holds a lot of memories and a lot of things that really kind of are synchronicities now that I'm older, and the stuff is like coming to fruition of everything. Now, it wasn't much older than that. I might have been 4. The first time that I believe I saw an entity, UFO, alien, I'm not really sure. The house is tiny, it's like a box. You walk in through the kitchen, into the living room, into a bedroom, and then back to another bedroom, and then there's a bathroom. Little square house. I sleep in the very back bedroom by the adjoining restroom in the back. And the way I had it was, I'm still in a crib, I think about the age of 3 to 4-ish. And this was like mid-80s. And I have a window directly across from my crib thing that I'm sleeping in. And I remember seeing the outline of an extremely tall person. And the window was already probably a good, a couple feet off the ground, and this person almost goes to the top of the window. So really extremely tall being, at least 9-10 feet, I'm thinking, maybe 8 or 9, I'm not sure. But I remember skinny, long, I remember seeing this being, and I remember getting very afraid. I was not comforted, even at the small age. I knew what I was seeing wasn't necessarily normal. And I can remember crying for my mom and getting to the point where I'm screaming, extremely frantic for her to come get me. And that is the first memory that I have, one of the first memories I have, period. And I don't remember if she ever came and got me. I don't remember much of anything. All I remember is crying and then nothing. So I'm not sure what happened with that. Let me see. I have a big sunflower synchronicity. Now, behind this house was an alleyway where the being would have been. And in this alleyway, there was really tall sunflowers. I see sunflowers a lot now. It actually has linked me to Tracy, who I met here through my videos. And Sean, a few other people too, who have a sunflower synchronicity kind of thing, which I kind of link to Christ consciousness as well. because it is the color yellow, and I do see the color yellow with Christ consciousness, and I see sometimes sunflowers. So let me see, the sunflower synchronicity was there. So many different things. Let me see, the first actual UFO, the first and only one that I've ever saw. Well, before I get to that, I want to talk about my son. I had my son at a very early age. It was 5 days after I turned 16 when I gave birth to him. I lived with my parents off and on, bad marriages and stuff like that. While I was living with my mom and dad in Cuero, Texas, I had my sons with me, and my oldest son, who is now 20, he was probably about 7 or 8. At the time we were living with my mom and dad, and he actually had seen something extremely similar to what I saw when I was 3. He had a friend over, my cousin's son. They were around the same age, and my son's actually like a month older than my cousin's son. But they were running through the house, and me and my dad and my cousin and stuff were in the living room, and the kids ran around to the back, and there was a back door there, and all of a sudden I hear my son scream at the top of his lungs, and he ran through the living room, slid under the table, and was sobbing and hiding there, and he was so absolutely terrified. And as a mother, you get that feeling, you know, when something is terribly wrong with your kid. And he told me that he saw a being. He said alien. I saw an alien at the back door. It was taller than the door and bending down to look inside, and it had really long fingers, really long arms, very skinny. And it was kind of at that moment that I froze, because I remembered exactly what I had seen when I was very young. So that was the first instance with any kind of paranormal phenomenon that we had. Not like haunted houses or anything like that. I've seen plenty of spirits, but it was a few years later we moved to Connecticut, and we lived in Oakdale, Connecticut, and we weren't there but a few months, and we had a house with on stilts with deck right on the lake. And this is the first experience that I have of actually seeing a UFO. My oldest son was probably about 11 or 12 at this point, and then I have a son who's 5 years younger. They were playing on the deck, and they both ran in and were like, "Mom, come see this UFO, Mom." And I'm a writer, so at the time I was writing on my computer, and I set my laptop down, and I was thinking it's probably just like a plane or some kind of balloon. But as I walked out onto the deck, the saucer flew directly over. God, it couldn't have been 40, 50 feet above me. Flew right over me, right over my deck, and slowly, and it's flying like this, just back and forth. And I guess they call it a falling leaf effect, and I looked this up afterward because I was absolutely just floored by it. It just slowly moved over the lake, and there's kind of like little hills, mountainous kind of thing in Oakdale, and it flew right over that. And I thought, the first thing I thought in my mind was, there's no way that I'm the only one that saw this. This is going to be in the news. This is going to be huge. Everybody's got to have seen this because it was going so slow. At the time, I had a phone, but I mean, pictures weren't really a big thing at the time. This was back in 2011, I guess. I didn't even think to grab my phone to take a picture or anything. I was unafraid. I stood there and I watched it in awe. I was just absolutely like, wow. Like, I could not believe, like, my whole world changed in that year. And it wasn't not even a year after that I believe I went into the dark night of the soul, and I had my kind of awakening, not knowing what it was at the time. So these were my experiences. It was absolutely crazy. I'm not really sure why I was so afraid of the being I saw when I was 3. Maybe the fact that I just knew it wasn't normal from what I had seen. I'd do anything to see it now, as long as it's good and of light. But yeah, those are my experiences. there's a lot of things that have happened throughout my life. I mentioned the paranormal. I lived in a house that was haunted, probably to the max. It's the first time I ever seen a full body apparition. I had woken up in the middle of the night, and I say woken up, but my eyes were not open. From what I remember, I was laying there. It's like I opened my eyes and I look up and I see this full body apparition. It's kind of almost like it's glowing, but it's got somewhat of a blue tint. I can see my room, I can see the dresser, I can see everything on it. I'm looking at the spirit and it's kind of almost glaring down at me, but it's standing over my ex-husband and just kind of glaring down at me. And I remember kind of pushing myself into the bed like, oh my gosh, because it freaked me out seeing it. And all of a sudden I opened my eyes and the room was pitch black. So I do not believe I was awake necessarily at this time. I knew it was in a dream. I very much knew it was in a dream. I was awake, but I wasn't awake. I was seeing it kind of like with my my astral self or my etheric self, or however you want to put that into terms. But that house, I saw shadow figures there too, like the size of children, kind of running, absolutely solid. They were not see-through at all. It was just kind of like a black blur. Things would move around, knocking. That house was haunted. Other than that, my daughter, she sees apparitions a lot more than I do. Sometimes, I haven't really seen one in a very long time, probably since that one, and that was probably back in 2015, 16. But my daughter, she sees them a lot, and she's seen them here in this house. I've never seen really one in this house. My husband has seen like black shadow type figures in our backyard at night. I think those are more kind of elemental kind of nature spirits that he's seen, and he never sees anything, but he actually saw that. I'm the one now not seeing anything, but my daughter, she sees things all the time, and she can describe them. She hasn't got to the point where she's speaking to them yet, but she can say what they're wearing, what they look like, when they appeared, what they're doing, very much at anything you can think of concerning actually seeing them. So we're really open in this house. I'm not really sure why I've decided to make this video, but I really felt that it could connect with people that watch this video. Maybe you've gone through something too, you've seen something, you have synchronicities of sunflowers, or there was something else there are more synchronicities that I've had today, actually, all morning. I did the video about You Are Powerful, and Yolanda, the first minute of her video that she did this morning too was talking about our power. So it's very much in the collective right now. Sorry, I'm having like light language come down right now as it's been going all day. Synchronicities, I saw 1111 today. That's really one that's starting to come back for me. I didn't see it for a while. I'm still always seeing 144, 1144, 1044, 441, 444. Those are usually every day. I even saw 144 today as well. But let me see. There was something, twin flame thing. I think I'm going to do another video on twin flames, because this has really been coming to me a lot the last few days, this twin flame thing. And I also posted my birth chart from Indigo Angel on my Facebook page. And one of the, it might have been Spica. It might have been that one, or Orion, that is connected to the twin flames. So I've really been having the synchronicity on twin flames a lot. I don't really tell too much of my story on that, but maybe I will in the video. I feel like I'm missing major synchronicities here that came to me today. I don't remember, but if I think of it, I will put it in the next video. And I just want to share more connect, and really we're all one, we're all connected. So if you have any stories to share, I would love to hear them in the comments. And I think that's it. Have a great day.